to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we're unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. We are streaming on all social media platforms at Keys to the City, including Twitch. So subscribe, comment, share, like. As we know, we will get into the football games in just a brief moment. After a great championship Sunday, we get to see Mahomes versus Brady in Tampa for the first time ever. We will get to see a home team represent or be the face of the Super Bowl this year. I can't wait. But like I said, let's start off. There's a reason why I want to start off with this, because a year ago, anybody that knows me very closely knows that this is my favorite athlete of all time. And as you can see, I'm wearing a jersey right now to represent the Mamba and Gianna and those 7 other people that tragically passed away a year ago. All I want to say is let's just be thankful, because every day, especially with the past year, what has given us and what is shown to the world, we got to be thankful. We got to be appreciative of everybody. So Ted and Joe, I love you guys. I'm thankful for that we're a part of this show. But this is a sad day for me, because I love Kobe Bryant. I mean, everything about him, not just because he was a Laker, not because it was just because his passion, his work ethic to be the greatest, and even his daughter. And that's what breaks my heart, is that to see a young girl that had so much potential, that was going to try to change the game, will never be able to. And to see that family, how they probably are still heartened, all those families that have been impacted so greatly, it's heartbreaking. So we have to be thankful. And in a world right now there's a lot of hate, there's not a lot of respect anymore. We have to, as a country and a world, have to just love one another, because there's not. And if this can show something, it's just we got to be grateful and we got to be thankful for everything, because that's what the Mamba did. And you got to be the best, because that's what Kobe Bryant and that's what Gianna was going to do. But I can't believe it's already been a year. It sucks. I'll never forget it. I remember Ted. I remember actually Robbie Clark messaged me and said, "Yo, Kobe just died." Thought it was a joke. Couldn't take it. Just when I hear that, I'm like, no, don't believe it. And all of a sudden, Ted, you put on ABC World News, and what do you know? Kobe Bryant passed away. And it's just so much. There was so much left in his life. He was such a young man, a young guy too, as well. He was a young father, and he had just having that whole family. It's sad. So for me, to both of you guys and everybody that's watching, I love you. Thankful for you. Let's just be grateful, because we don't know. Every day can be different. Got anything else? Do you want to say? You guys got?
Yeah. Well,
whatever you want. You guys can come in and say whatever you want.
I'll start by saying I love you too, brother. And you're exactly right. It's all good, Ted. We could love each other.
Yeah, we can. It's okay, Ted. Have a little
it's
love.
Not weird.
Have a little compassion, Ted.
Guys, we share sandwiches, for Christ's sake. I mean, it's all good. You know what I mean? You guys know I was not a big Kobe Bryant fan, not personally as a basketball player, and obviously nothing but respect. And I think I said this a year ago, where I told you I wasn't a big Kobe guy. To me, he had a lot to prove for the things that he had done early in his career in Colorado. I won't even bother getting into it. He was making, I thought, massive strides in my own personal eyes, as far as being a better person and moving past that. His support of women's basketball, the idea that he might have even bought the WNBA or become a coach, that's the thing I'm saddest about Kobe's life being cut short. Was, for me, he was making up for that thing I could never get over.
Mm-hmm.
And for him to be with his daughter, to be cut down like that, knowing that he was working what I wanted to see him doing as a man, who had been accused of a horrible crime like that.
Yeah, he was trying to change the game.
Dude, that's, again, I mean, look, I'll tell you, I think he's one of the top 5 greatest basketball players of all time. Rank him wherever you want. Jordan's one. I don't care what you do with the rest of the list. I really don't. Great basketball player. amazing guy for the game of basketball, amazing ambassador, a great representative of LA, of the Lakers, of that great franchise. For me, just couldn't shake it.
No.
But knowing what he'd been up to the last couple of years, I was starting to feel it. I thought, yeah, I'd love to say like, and it's sad for me that he died before it got there. And that's why I hope Vanessa Bryant continues that legacy and puts and follows through with the things that Kobe wanted to do. Because again, I think there's a lot of people out there like me who would feel a whole lot better about the Kobe legacy if that thing could be
continued.
You know what I mean? It would mean a lot. It would mean a lot.
His legacy has actually expanded since his death. If you really think about it, so much known as a basketball player that when his death came about and we all found out about it, you start to realize the girl dad hashtag. You realize, oh my God, what type of family man he really was that you didn't really know about. All you knew about was his 5 a.m. workouts, shooting the ball 1,000 shots before the game, then be at the game, then shoot after the game, even after he'd score 40 points. You didn't know all the extra things that he was doing as a family man. You think about the Mamba mentality. You knew that, but think about how much more so a year later what that represents. You know what I mean? The girl dad. It's actually cool to be a father, to have a daughter. You know what I mean? Because every father is like, I want a son. Come on, make it a boy, make it a boy. You know what I mean? It's actually cool to have a daughter. You know what I mean? And to see women's sports grow with what he represented and his daughter, and then the UConn basketball. Just the whole his legacy has actually expanded so much more so after his death. And then you just see what last year, I remember when it happened, the representation of his death around LA. You know what I mean? It was like, and I'm not knocking anyone else, you know, like Hank Aaron and some of the other things, but, you know, maybe because of the tragic, because he was so young, you know, when young people pass away, it seems so much more heartfelt and much more, there's so much more of a dedication to these guys. You know what I mean? Like when an older guy passed away, it's a very sorrow time, but you're like, he lived a great life. You know, this guy, like Joe, you were saying, had so much more to give in his afterlife of after basketball, that you truly understood what type of man he really was. And I made not the joke, but while you were speaking, I kind of interrupted. I was like, he was like a fine wine. He got better with age, you know, and you could say that about a lot of people where, you know, in your 20s, you're having a good time. You're just playing sports and you're partying and having a good life. And then you get to the older life and you start to realize, like when he was in his 30s, you know, the after Shaq years, like how much more respect his players had for him. You know what I mean? His teammates. You know, they used to say, not that he was a bad teammate when he was younger, but he was more of a punk. Then you see how much like Paul Gasol and some of these older guys, even when he scored the 60 points, how much influence he had on the younger generation and even outside of fans. I remember when Trev came over, remember we were watching that game and he scored 60 points.
Of course.
It was like the greatest thing, Joe. It was like the Super Bowl. I mean, it was like, shoot, come on.
We just especially when he was getting closer and closer with that 60 points. It was like everybody. I remember that same night that that was the night the Warriors beat the Bulls 72-10 record. They went 73-9. Nobody cared. Everybody just wanted to watch Kobe. He was so beloved by the NBA community. He was so beloved around the world. And I love you, Mamba. I miss you, Mamba. I miss Gianna. It's tragic. I can't believe it's already been a year. I mean, I already cried this morning just thinking about it. It's a sad thing. And I know people say, oh, why are you crying? You never met. That's just me. That was my favorite athlete of all time. And to see him go at such a young age, and even his daughter and the 7 other people losing their life just like that.
If you go to Yahoo, they just posted a thing. The pilot screwed up. I don't know if you saw it, and we kind of knew that anyways. But they just, you know, all the blame went on that pilot. There's a big article on Yahoo right now about the pilot. Listen, he should have never flown. He made a tragic mistake. And, you know, like they say, wear your seatbelt, you know, and the simple things like that. You know, that guy should have never flown. He should have known better. And, you know, it's just tragic that someone's mistake ruined 7 other lives and families, because it's not just about him. Kobe gets the representation because who he is, and you know what everybody. It's all those. Think about like that girl who lost her mother and father in the thing. Her life will never be the same. That young girl, you know. Just all those 9 people that were
taken away from us is just tragic. I know we talk about Kobe and Gianna, but Tommy D, I love you too, my man. Thank you every day for commenting and staying on top of Keys of the City.
Look, on that point, and every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Throwing Jabs, in addition to me giving expert thoughts on the fights and nailing another one, by the way, Poirier beating McGregor. One of the things that we talk about, and we're really trying to push on that show because it's me and Jason Jarrett, and you wouldn't want to fight any one of us. Okay. We're all manly men on this show. And we talk about loving each other like brothers, and we talk about the mental aspect of the game. Jared's got a charity. You guys were of Scrub Scraps, where it's basically people on their last leg dealing with addiction, getting the help that they need, doing it through boxing. Mm-hmm. And we talk about the emotions, and you don't have to bottle down your emotions. You're not a pussy if you cry. You're not. You're not.
It's okay. Hey, Jimmy V said it. If you laugh, you smile, and you cry, that's a heck of a day. But people
I was watching a great bit from Bill Burr last night. Bill Burr was talking about guys that drop dead at 50 because we spend our whole lives like pushing down, like you can't love a puppy or take a cookie for Christ's sake. Like, oh no, I'm good. No, you can. It's okay. It doesn't make you the P word. You know what I mean? And I tell you right now, and I hope the two of you will get on board with this, is I think that we need to lead a movement where, look, you tell your sons that they shouldn't cry. And then when your son's 25, you're like, how come you never have no emotions at all? What's wrong with you? Well, that's how you raised him. You raised him to box up his emotions. That's not healthy.
I'm the emotional one of these two.
So Joe, when you talk like this,
are
emotional one.
Sure are.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. I hold everything in.
But like I said, guys, in general, to close out all of this with Kobe, and if anything we've learned from the past year, you just got to be thankful, and we got to be loving. We got to get back to that type of way, some sort of way. I know it's not going to, because we live in a country and a world that there's no love anymore. We need to get back to it. If there's one thing that Kobe did with that, and it felt like it brought the country together and even the world for just a brief period. And that's what started 2020 as well. It was just heartbreaking. Like I said, I love you, Mamba. I miss you. Mamba forever. Plain and simple Mamba mentality. But let's shift over to a great championship Sunday. And it was indeed a great championship Sunday. But what will we be talking about? What will we remembered from these championship games? Me, and I told Ted before the show, old school beat new school. When I say that, I'm not talking about the quarterbacks. I'm talking about the coaches. The coaches, old school, Andy Reid, Bruce Arians, aggressive calls throughout this entire postseason. Why are those two in the Super Bowl? And why is Sean McDermott and Matt LeFleur, Packers-Bills, not in the Super Bowl? Because they were conservative. They were conservative, and that's why they're going home. You don't kick field goals. And we talked about this on Sunday night, Ted, me and you.
But old school wasn't aggressive, bud. You're missing the point. If anything,
okay. So Bruce Arians' call to go on with 6 seconds left, knowing that they could have tried to settle for a field goal. That's what other teams would have done. What does Bruce Arians and Brady do? You're still a coach. You still come up with a decision. I don't care if it's Brady makes all. I don't care. You're still the coach. You have to have some sort of agreement.
Two of the oldest coaches, Bruce Arians and Andy Reid, are going in the Super Bowl. And two young coaches, which are dynamic. We talked about this. Sean McVay a couple years ago, the young dynamic coach for the Rams against the veteran Bill Belichick. Andy Reid, the veteran guy who's been in multiple championship games, versus the guy Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott was the coordinator on the Eagles who got fired by Andy Reid when they were there. So you have teacher versus student. We talk about this all the time, Trev, in basketball, where Nick Saban doesn't lose to his predecessors, the guys that he grew up. You know what I mean? We talk about this with Belichick. Teacher and student. Teacher usually always wins. Same thing. You have Bruce Arians, a guy who's been a veteran, who's been there before, done it, seen it, and you got a young guy, Matt LeFleur. The young guy is great. It's the upstart. but you have a veteran guy who's been there before. And sometimes we overlook experience over the new flashy toy. And that wasn't not because Trev, the reason why I interrupted is what I was going to say was.
What a shock! I'm not even next to you anymore, and you're still interrupting me. Some things never change.
Now it makes it even better now because I can't punch you in the head. Was the old school veteran coaches, Trev,
do that
would be more conservative. And I if you look at the old game, think about it. The old school way of thinking is run the football on 3rd and 2. Remember when Andy Reid was for the Eagles and they used to say he throws the ball more than anyone else. He used to throw the ball 60% of the time, more than anyone else in the league. He was ahead of the game long before anyone else was. The game has changed. Andy Reid has adapted the same way Nick Saban has adapted in college football. Remember when Alabama used to win the championships? It was run the football, power football, play action. Their quarterbacks weren't dynamic. Now think about where Alabama is. They run spread formation, shotgun, 4 receivers, and every year they produce at least 1, if not 2, first-round picks at receivers. They've become wide receiver U in the last 5 years, Alabama.
Now, Joe, this is not – I'll bring it to you. This is not discrediting Matt LeFleur or Sean McDermott as a coach or either coaches because they're very good coaches and they're going to be around for a long time. Buffalo and Green Bay has 2 really good coaches. I'm not discrediting them. But Green Bay, when you have the MVP, because we know he's going to win the MVP, and knowing that you're 2 minutes away, like you're taking a hell of a chance with your defense to not give AR-12 the ball. Now, I know he could have ran it in. Bad decision on his part. But 4th and goal, you decide to settle for a field goal. That's a terrible coaching decision. Sean McDermott, when you're playing a team like the Chiefs, who you know can rack up yards, can rack up points very quickly, when you're settling for field goals, when you're multiple times inside the 10, almost in the 5-yard line, and you settling for field goals, you are not winning the game. And that's why I say old school guys, what Andy Reid last week, Chad Henne, makes one of the gutsiest calls we've seen in recent time on 4th and 1, get it with Chad Henne. And then this week, you see Arians throw the play to Scotty Miller. Bad play by Desmond King of not knowing what the hell's going on, but still a gutsy call. And
I bet that was all Brady. Because that's what listen, if you know anything about Brady, is Brady takes your soul. Okay? If you give him an inch, he takes a mile. For the Green Bay Packers not to play prevent defense and have 4 guys across the end zone when they have no timeouts and play zone coverage is beyond me. That's stupidity by Green Bay. And you know what? They were trying to play against the field goal. You know what? Brady said, good. Play me for the field goal. I'm going over the top, and I'm going to hit you for a touchdown because that's what Brady does. And if anything you've learned, Bruce Arians lets Brady run the show.
So what do you think?
Brilliant. And you're exactly right. Look, and that was all Brady. And I love the idea that Bruce Arians said repeatedly, and we heard it all throughout the broadcast, that he's a coach on the field, that he can pretty much do whatever he wants. That's the only player I would allow that sort of carte blanche. You can do whatever you want while you're out there. Why you know, in a game that was so close, the field goal was the stupidest thing in the world. I mean, here's the thing. It's not like you were just racking up the points on your end. It's not like their defense wasn't doing a really good job against Rodgers. So you're there with a chance to tie it. I mean, what does the field goal do? It puts you in a position where even another field goal doesn't help you either.
They brought in the A word, just like we talk about with baseball and how we get so frustrated with it. Analytics.
But Trev, analytics didn't even make sense because it's still
BS analytics came into play. I just don't get it.
Here's the thing. The ball was at the 8-yard line. It wasn't at the 15 or the 20-yard line. Trev, you were right. You have the MVP, the guy that threw for 48 touchdowns. You have one of the best players in the league. Listen, even if you don't get it, they're still pinned inside the 10, okay? And you still play your scenario where you would have had 4 timeouts.
And it's not like Brady was playing really, really good. I mean, he played sloppy in that game. I mean, he 3 picks. He didn't play. He played good in the first half. Second half, he kind of wavered off into like not playing well. Rodgers played really well in that game. This isn't on Aaron Rodgers. I know people say
he did not play really well. He did not play well. Rodgers did not play well. Did you see the video I sent you and Joe the other day? He did not play well. He was not. The numbers don't tell you the true story. Rodgers did not play that well. I didn't think he
better than Brady. Playing a hell of a lot better than Brady.
Same level he did all season, because what I notice about this is when Rodgers has the lead, Trev, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He's like Charles on the basketball court. When he's winning, he talks all this junk. But then when they start losing, he starts yelling at all his teammates, you got to defend this guy, you got to do that. When he's on top of the world when they're winning, you see that. But when he's losing, he's frustrated. You never see Rodgers have a fourth quarter comeback. Remember we were saying the stats? He doesn't come back from when he's down multiple points.
Yeah,
down double digits. Brady.
Does Rodgers deserve a lot of the blame for this? I mean, I know this is another loss in the NFC Championship game. Now he's 1-4. And for a guy that still can't get over that hump, and even me and Ralph were talking, another same old Green Bay year. It's just every year they look great. They play well throughout the regular season. And they get to the postseason, and they crap the bed. It's just another example of the crap in the bed.
Do you remember what I said to you the other day about he's been flapping his mouth for years? I want one of these games at Lambeau. I want one of these games at Lambeau. Well, you got it, and against the greatest of all time. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I got.
And all the one more thing. That's my one more thing. No. My thing is, and I'm gonna even bring it up with the whole going to think about this. Tom Brady is going to his. Now I saw people on our thing complaining like Brady this and that, the refs, and I was like, shut up. The refs all game let those men play. There could have been 100 pass interferences. We're going to talk about the one call because, that's Tom Brady going to the Super Bowl again. Shut up. Just shut up. You sound like one of the millions of losers in this country. Appreciate the greatness of Tom Brady. Everybody, just like LeBron James, and I posted it yesterday, we always like to knock those two because, they won in the AFC or he won in the Eastern Conference. Well, LeBron went to the Western Conference and LeBron won a championship. Brady's in the NFC, played against Breeze, played against Rodgers, and guess what? He's going back to the Super Bowl for the 10th time. So for everybody that wants to continue to knock Brady and even knock LeBron, and I am not the biggest fans of those guys at all, by no means. But I respect them and admire and appreciate their greatness. For the people that still want to bitch and moan, guess what? You're just the millions of losers in this country. I'm sorry.
Brady won 3 road games, which he's not used to doing, Joe. Brady doesn't go to the Super Bowl as a wild card team. I don't think he ever did that in New England. He doesn't win 3 road games. So
this speaks more of how great he is, and just stop with the conversation of him not being.
Now you saw the video I sent you guys. This is what I mean by Rodgers not capitalizing. There was 3 turnovers in that second half that Brady gave the Packers an opportunity to think about this. The Packers were going to have more yards, total yards. They were going to have more time of possession. They were going to have less turnovers in Tampa Bay, and they were going to lose. You would have said, how, right? Rodgers, they had back-to-back possessions after the picks, 3 and outs. They had minus 5 yards. They didn't even get a first down. Rodgers was pressured 22 times Sunday, the most he was pressured all season. It speaks volume to having a pass rush against an elite receiver and seeing how the Packers could not overcome this Tampa Bay defense. Twice. Did it happen down in Tampa, and it happened up in the NFC Championship?
And realistically, that's where I think, and we're not going to talk about the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about it next week. We're not even going to preview it this week. We're going to talk about it next week. But that's going to be the major focus in this game is that pass rush, that really good defense. Like I've been saying, since Devin White's come back, that defense is a whole different defense. They're nasty. They hit you. They cause turnovers. They do everything right on defense. And Eric Fisher's now out for the year. That's what, and Mitchell Schwartz as well is out too. So they're going to have their hands full. I'm talking about the Chiefs. They're going to have their hands full come February 7th. But like I said, we're not going to get into it. I can't wait for that game. I just want you to know that I've been wanting to see Brady and Mahomes since they played early in the year, and I've been saying it for months. I did say, and I know you guys called me crazy, this was the best team and the most complete team in the NFC. Plain and simple. They had great defense. They had a solid running game. Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette's emergence has been a huge boost to this offense. And if with Antonio Brown, and think about that, Antonio Brown, sorry, Steelers fans, cover your ears, but Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown are going to be in the Super Bowl this year, and you guys will be watching. But just think about everything that Tampa Bay has done this year, and to see this team starting to get really, really hot at the right time. And I said, you guys called me crazy. I really thought this was the best team in the NFC, and not was because of Brady. It's because of their completeness from top to bottom, I should say.
Hey, now I'll just finish off my one last thing, and then I'll let Joe finish his one last thing.
I'm taking it from you, Joe.
Joe, I had to because I know we could talk about this forever. Listen, the Packers had their opportunities. Okay, we mentioned it before. Don't give up the touchdown at the end of the half, you morons. 6 seconds left. Give the underneath route and let him catch it, and you go to halftime. Take the touchdown away from there. I'm not blaming Aaron Jones for the fumble. If anyone knows about football, that guy had a 15-yard running head start and put the helmet on the ball, and that's what happens when you're
right head on the ball. Perfect.
And the other thing is, what I would say is this. No one realized this. That Tampa Bay guy almost blew it for him on the kickoff at the end of the game after they kicked the field goal. He slides on the kickoff. That gave them 6 seconds for Tampa Bay to have a run and play. If he catches that kickoff and runs around for 6 seconds, the 2-minute warnings on that play, Green Bay doesn't get their 4th timeout. They only have 3, and Tampa Bay would have been able to run the clock out a lot sooner. And Charles mentioned to me last night. He goes, if you're going to kick the field goal, he goes, you know what I do as a coach then? I go for the onside kick. I at least give my team another opportunity. I don't kick the ball off because this is Brady. This is not going against Daniel Jones or Kyler Murray or Jared Goff. You're going against Tom Brady to stop him to get a first down. Okay? I would kick the field goal. I mean, kick the onside kick because even if you don't get it and they kick a field goal, whatever, it's still an 8-point game. You get the ball back sooner. You give your team at least every opportunity to get the ball back. Missed opportunities by the Packers, and they waited too long to play good because Tampa Bay played an outstanding first half.
Yeah, they did. And it showed. I mean, Joe, you got anything else on this game that you want to say, fine?
Don't bet against Tom Brady. I mean, I understand.
Unless you're playing Eli Manning.
The defense, I understand it was the defense that, I mean, obviously he had to overcome 3 interceptions, but again, when it was crunch time, when push came to shove, when Brady needed to make a play, he did it. Again, when I talked last week about Lamar Jackson and my fear of if he needs to make a play,
do you trust him enough
with his arm, will he do it? And he didn't. And here's an instance where, I mean, look, I know Brady's not 27 years old anymore and in the prime of his career.
He looks like he's 27.
He's a smarter player now.
Oh, yeah.
He's a guy who understands the concept of team. And I'll tell you what, I think the thing that struck me most about the Buccaneers was hearing the defense talk about Tom after the game and how they feel like, dude, when he showed up, they were like, yeah, we're good. This is a good team. This is the guy we need. Tom stepped right into that locker room. He became a leader like you assumed he would, and he made everybody around him. And this is why when I talk about great players, this is the number one thing I'm talking about.
Leadership.
He made everybody around him better. Michael Jordan did that. This is what the greats do. Yep. They make even like, again, nobody thinks of Wes Welker as a great player, but when you're around Tom Brady, he makes you feel great. He makes you think that you're great. Yeah. These guys believed it. That's why they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Do you feel like does it ultimately show?
Trev, did you just do that?
100% agree, baby. 100% agree. Sorry to make my Super Bowl prediction, but sorry. Don't care.
I'll get more into it, and I may change my mind, but that's my initial thought.
Yeah, we might change. It's still got 2 weeks. We'll talk about that at the end of next week. But here's my last question before we get to the AFC side. Does this ultimately show that the quarterback was the missing piece for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Like, do they need it? Like, I know it's Tom Brady and stuff and everything, but was this like the ultimate? Huh?
It's with every team. You don't even have to go farther with the question. It's with every team. We talked about it last week.
But when you get a guy like Tom Brady,
in football at this time is the difference. If you're going to the Super Bowl, you're not going to win the Super Bowl anymore with a half-ass quarterback. You can't have Jimmy G.
No, but like I'm saying, if say Tampa Bay got like Matthew Stafford, would have that made a difference? No. Exactly. It's Tom Brady. That's what he does. That's why it's the. I mean, what would you think, Joe? Do you think that if like you could? Ted said you could get any quarterback, like a good quarterback, and they would have went to the Super. No, like you needed a guy like Tom Brady's playing this year.
If you're the 49ers, you go get Deshaun Watson with that defense. And then I say you're going to be in the Super Bowl next year in the NFC because you're going to have one of the best defenses. You have a young, great coach. You'll still have a running game, and you'll have the best quarterback in the division.
Joe?
Listen, you're about 90% right there, Teddy. Again, the quarterback
and had Tom Brady there.
The quarterbacks you're mentioning are two great ones. So again, the idea that you don't need a certain quarterback, you need the right quarterback. Again, you mentioned early on the idea of Daniel Jones and Daniel Jones isn't a top quarterback in the NFL. Oh yeah, I'm well aware of that, and I'm totally cool with that because I think he's the right quarterback for the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
If he was the quarterback of the Bears, Chiefs,
it'd be like
Packers, most places, I don't like Daniel Jones if he was the starting quarterback there. For what the Giants need to do, he's the right guy there. And so again, to me, that's more important than it being a specific guy. For Tampa, I think Tampa needed a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Better an upgrade from Jameis Winston. Certainly Tom Brady qualifies as that. But I think more than that, these guys needed to believe that they were good, that they were good enough, that they had enough firepower.
They were talented enough.
They needed that, I think, more than they needed his arm or any of that other stuff. I think it was just the idea that we got this guy. We can do it. Sometimes that's all you need, and I think this is a perfect example of that.
Do you think Brady could have done it anywhere else if he didn't go to Tampa? He went to one of the. If he went anywhere else, do you think he could have carried?
Give me a couple teams, and I'll say yes or no.
Giants.
No, they're not good enough. They don't have enough. And a perfect example, he left New England because they did not have weapons. Plain and simple. He went to the team that had weapons. And then you know what they did? They signed Antonio Brown. They signed Gronk. They signed Leonard Fournette. When you have a veteran quarterback who's a pocket passer and you know it's a short window, you go all in. Similar to what the Broncos did. You put an elite defense around Peyton Manning, and then you have a bunch of great receivers. You had Wes Welker. You have Demaryius Thomas. You have Emmanuel Sanders. You have Justin Thomas, the tight end. I mean, that's what you do. It's an all-in win. It's kind of what the Saints did. They went all in for Drew Brees. He just wasn't good enough. You gotta have talent around you. Because I'll put it this way: if Mahomes was on the Giants, they're still not going to the Super Bowl, and they're probably not winning multiple playoff games. I'm sorry, they're not good enough. Mahomes is great. But you're only as good as your supporting cast. This is not the NBA where two players can take you to the NBA Finals. Sorry, it's a team game.
And I'm glad you brought up Patrick. And Ted, I'm glad you brought up Patrick Mahomes because let's shift over to the night game into the AFC Championship game. And this was a team, the Buffalo Bills I'm talking about, coming in. They were 12-1 in their last 13 games. Their only loss was to the Chiefs. So this was the hottest team coming into the playoffs. This was everybody's Super Bowl darling. Here we go, the Buffalo Bills. Here we go. They're going to get to the Super Bowl. They have it all. Josh Allen, this offense, Stephon Diggs, this defense is starting to get it. Sean McDermott, the coaching staff. Well, they went up against the Kings in the AFC, the new Kings in the AFC, the juggernauts, the Kansas City Chiefs. And it showed the other night that the Bills are still a couple pieces away from getting to a Super Bowl. Plain and simple. Josh Allen was amazing this year. MVP type season. If it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers' remarkable season, we'd be talking about Josh Allen as the MVP. Sean McDermott has emerged as one of the top 6 or 5 coaches in the game. Stephon Diggs has emerged as one of the elites in this game. They have a great defense, but they still are a couple pieces away. That running game we talked about on Friday was going to be a huge factor. Didn't really show. I know they got out to the quick 9-0 lead, but I told you on Sunday, Ted, kind of reminded me of just like the Titans game last year, AFC Championship game. Titans got out to a 10-0 lead, felt like, here we go. But that's how fast this Kansas City offense, and led by Patrick Mahomes, goes like that. Faster than the speed of light. That's how quick this offense is. And I talked about it earlier. You cannot kick field goals against a team. It's like we always said about the Patriots when they had great offenses. You can't kick field goals. To survive and win games like this, you have to put up 7 every time. And they did not. And plain and simple, why that score says 38-24 is because they put up a lot of field goals, and the Kansas City Chiefs, once again, put up a lot of touchdowns. Anybody want to say something? You guys all mute.
I was actually going to
guys, and we're going mute. What's going on here, you boys?
I felt like Joe had something brewing.
I do. I do have something brewing. I'll say this. Look, I was very concerned about the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I talked about them not having a 300-yard passing game for Mahomes since December 13th. Check. I said that the Bills were going to need to get some turnovers. Didn't happen. Check. The Mahomes and the Chiefs shook off the rust Conor McGregor couldn't from their inactivity. Check. I mean, I thought, I know this is a great team. I didn't think they were as good as last year's team. I was wrong. They crushed the Bills. The 38-24 doesn't even begin to doesn't even begin. My son made a meme of himself and he's absolutely in love with it. This team is great. This team steps up in every moment. Again, as close as the score would indicate, this game was over early.
Oh, yeah. You could just feel it. I know the score was 21-12, I think, at halftime, I believe, or 24-12.
It felt like a blowout.
The game had no chance.
It felt like a blowout. You at no point ever felt like the Bills had enough to win this football game.
Well, listen, that extra point we talk about, listen, I know it's a little point. It wasn't going to make a big difference in the game, but it's a momentum swing. It really does play into a factor down the road because of how you play the game out, where they've gone for two a couple other times. You got to make your kicks. The kid was 4 for 4, but Joe, you're 100% right. All the things that the Bills needed to do, they didn't accomplish. Josh Allen played great. He had over 360 yards total offense. Ran the ball well, which we knew he was gonna. Threw the ball well.
One thing is, he needs to throw the ball away and stop taking sacks the way he did that game. It felt like every play, though, that Buffalo Bills offensive line got their asses kicked. It felt like Chris Jones and company was in the backfield every play. It felt like. And Josh Allen had no time.
Spagnuolo called a great game. And Joe, you were talking about how you didn't think the Chiefs' defense was that good. I don't think it has to be good, but when you're playing with the lead, you play better. And I think here's another thing that we have to really consider that we don't ever talk about. Being there with the experience. The last 3 years they've been in the championship games. Understanding Tyrann Mathieu is one of the best safeties in the game. He really is. He's one of the smartest guys too out there. Even his teammates. Do you know he was voted MVP of the Super Bowl last year by his teammates in the Super Bowl? He was voted the MVP by his teammates in the Super Bowl. Tyrann Mathieu, not Patrick Mahomes. You got Chris Jones. Okay, you have Clark that they traded from Seattle a couple years. They have good linebackers. Their secondary played really well. They shut down Stephon Diggs. Up until the fourth quarter, he had like 3 catches for like 20 yards, Stephon Diggs. What I'll take away from this is the Chiefs' defense is really good, but here's the other thing that makes them really good. They have the 2 best receivers in football.
Oh yeah,
Travis Kelce and
Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce probably is. I got to tell you, he's probably one of the best, maybe one of the top 2 weapons in all of football. I'm including everybody. I'm talking running backs, receivers, tight ends. Travis Kelce is deadly, and you can't cover him.
Now, here's the other thing, the cheetah, all right? You realize when these teams played, and we're not going to talk about it, but when the last time they played Tampa Bay, he had 203 yards in the first quarter, okay? I don't think that's going to happen in the Super Bowl, but his speed is so dynamic. Their speed in general is unbelievable. And what I love about Andy Reid is even after McCall Hardman fumbled the ball, you know what he did? He got him the ball the next possession. Confidence in your players. Here you go. We're going to throw you a quick screen for 50 yards, and then we're going to throw you the ball right before, and we're going to get you a touchdown, and your mindset is right back in you. That's what I love about this Chiefs. There's nothing going to stop us.
We're like a DJ Khaled, we the best. Literally, we are the best, and we're going to just do it every time we go on the field for 60 minutes. And they showed it again because we all talked about it. Joe, you love the Buffalo Bills. You love Josh Allen. This was everybody's, like I said, this was the team people most believed were going to get to the Super Bowl. And we talked about it at the beginning of this playoffs. Were the Chiefs, with the 3 weeks off, how were they going to play? And I guess, well, let's just throw that out of the window because they're as good as they were for the past 2 years. And like I said, they go down, they kick the field goal, make it 24-15. What happens the next play? Let's just dunk it off to Tyreek Hill, and he goes 70 yards for a huge play. And that's just how quick this offense is Plain and simple. And it's been like that for the past 2 years. It's a deadly offense.
Hey.
It's lethal, and it's unstoppable at times.
Okay, Patrick Mahomes, you want to know something? He's 25-1 in his last 26 games. He's got 43 wins in his last 3 seasons. He should be going to his 3rd straight Super Bowl if it wasn't for D Ford going off sides, okay? This guy is incredible. He is the biggest X factor that the NFL has ever seen, and there's nothing like him. There is no one that we've ever seen like him. Brady's
like
still
Steph Curry of the NBA. It's like the Steph Curry.
Brady is still the GOAT, but this kid is truly incredible. But it also, you have to understand, though, it is the perfect storm. It really is. You have Andy Reid, which is maybe, and I truly believe this, he's the best offensive play caller in football. He really is. His plays are dynamic. And when you have a guy like Tyreek Hill, who's the fastest guy on the planet, and Travis Kelce, who's the 2nd best receiver in football, you can't account for them. You can't account for their speed. They talk about it all the time. You can't account for speed. They are so dynamic. I mean, even the shuffle pass for the touchdown.
I love that.
Who does that?
That play is awesome. I love it.
There is no way
it's coming, but they still can't guard it.
Clyde Edwards had 6 rushes for 7 yards. It doesn't even matter. You don't even talk about, wow, they didn't really run the football that well. They ran it decently, but not something where they're like, they got to run the football. They are so incredible offensively. They're like, Trev, what we said Golden State 3 years ago with Kevin Durant and Clay and Curry, where you could be up 10-0 and be down 21 by the end of the quarter. Just like this, because they go bang 3, boom, boom, boom.
Hey, a perfect example. Just ask the Houston Texans last year.
They scored 21
nothing at one point, and then they ended up winning 51-31. We haven't seen an offense like this in the sense of speed. And I think that's the biggest difference from historic teams to a team like the Chiefs. Their speed is maybe unmatched more than anybody I've ever seen in the game of football.
Dude, if Mahomes doesn't week 17, they're 15-1. They're 15-1. I mean, because of the Washington Raiders. Plain and simple.
Don't let me get credit. The Buffalo Bills are not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere, plain and simple. But the Chiefs have become the new Patriots. They are the kings of the AFC, and until you dethrone the king, they ain't getting off. Because right now, it's the Kansas City Chiefs AFC, and it's not going away for quite some time.
I think Joe would agree with me. 3 things the Bills need to do. 1, they need to find a running back, or they need to develop a running game, first and foremost. Second of all, they need to find a pass rusher. Got to go get a pass rusher. If we've noticed anything about NFL when it comes into the playoff, you got to have that dynamic guy that can get pressure on the quarterback when you really need it. The Buccaneers did it, and the Chiefs did it to Josh Allen. Develop pressure all day long with Spags and Chris Jones up the middle. All right. And the third thing I really think the Bills need, they need another dynamic receiver, someone else that can go. Diggs got shut down, and they really didn't have anyone else to go to. Cole Beasley had a decent game. I don't know if you realize he also had a broken bone in his fibula, and he played the whole postseason. But Cole Beasley has to be your third weapon. You got to find another dynamic receiver to go with Josh Allen, and then you will be in the NFC Championship game year after year like the Chiefs, because I don't see the Chiefs going anywhere anytime soon.
Nope.
Anytime soon.
Unless Patrick Mahomes retires after Super Bowl 55 and says, "Yeah, I'm kind of done with it," then yeah, the Chiefs are not going anywhere. Just plain and simple. The Chiefs are not going anywhere. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who the coach is. If it's Eric Bieniemy after Andy Reid, and who knows, that could be one of the questions going in after this year. Is Andy Reid going to continue coaching?
Dude, Andy Reid ain't going nowhere, bro. He's having more fun than he's probably ever had in his life. You could just see it.
Oh, you never know. I mean, you never know. Can't just say, "Oh, do you know him?"
Yeah, I mean, right? What is the fun in that?
What?
I mean, I can't imagine there's a great deal of fun if you win another Super Bowl. You're not like, let me do a third. I mean, again, to me, if he goes back to back and you've got Bieniemy on the sideline, there's every reason to just kick it upstairs and be like, I'll be around. You run it.
Nope.
I'll be the GM. I'll just keep running the team. You be the coach on the field.
He's not going anywhere for 5 years.
Let me ask you two. Do you believe these are the 2 teams that are going to be representing the AFC for quite some time, or is there another team that you would have to say, maybe the Ravens, or I mean, all depends on where Deshaun Watson. I really do feel like wherever Deshaun Watson goes, if he goes to like the Dolphins or something, these are 2 teams that are going to be representing the AFC for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I think when you throw in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, I think those are the three teams that, again, I mean, think about Peyton and some of the guys who
Brady,
were Brady, that had exactly, Ben being the other guy that had to basically survive the Brady
the only
era.
guy that was Flacco. Flacco was the only guy in like between 10 years that actually got to a Super Bowl. So
Bambo.
Joe, who has the three best quarterbacks in the AFC? It's Lamar, it's Josh Allen, and it's Patrick Mahomes. Now, and I'm not saying Deshaun Watson isn't. I think he could be better than Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. But as long as he's still on Houston, he's going to be discredited because his team is not going to be good enough.
Yep.
And that's plain and simple. And I think people are going to have to start getting used to the Chiefs being in the Super Bowl year after year after year.
They're going to become, I don't know, maybe they won't, because I think Patrick Mahomes is so beloved, whereas Brady was always like hated. He was like that villain type when he was at the Patriots, the whole villain, the Patriots, the evil empire. They were like the dark, they were the dark side.
I thought Rex Ryan had an awesome statement that he said to Hasselbeck on Sunday NFL Countdown. He said, people didn't go to New England because they didn't want to play with Brady. They didn't go to New England because they didn't want to play for Belichick, because they didn't want structure. They didn't want all that discipline. They didn't want the hard-nosed guy who doesn't give no credit. People want to go play for Andy Reid because
and that's why I think they're going to be around for a while, and that's why, because they're going to be the fan favorites. People love Patrick Mahomes. People love Andy Reid. They're like the nice guys, but they just kick the crap out of you. They're the nice guys, but they just kick the crap out of you.
Damn, he lets his players be who they want to be. You couldn't do what you do in Kansas City for New England. Plain and simple. You couldn't do it.
I could see that. I could definitely see something like that happening. If Andy's like, you know what, pass him the torch, and because the guy hasn't gotten a chance to become a head coach, pass the torch down to him. Keep Andy Reid around. Doesn't have to retire fully.
Joe, does Andy Reid look like he's stressful at all? Does he look like
no? I mean, physically he does. Physically, every movement and every breath he takes looks like there's a lot of effort happening there. I love Andy Reid. I don't mean just to me, you win back-to-back championships. What's next? 3, 5, 10?
Joe, we're going to save this question for the Super Bowl, but I want to tell you something before you say this, right? 10 years ago, if you told me Andy Reid, what would you say? He's the biggest flop. Great coach, can't win the big one. If he goes to the second Super Bowl in a row, now you start talking to him as a Tom Landry, Tom Coughlin, a Bill Belichick. Now you start putting him in at that elite level. He's got Patrick Mahomes, Joe. Listen, if you're coaching Michael Jordan with Phil Jackson, why are you going anywhere? You got the best player in the world. You just keep having fun and say, hey, just do your thing. I'm going to keep calling plays because you know every play you call is going to work.
Let me ask you this. Listen, let me ask you this before we
Bryant and Michael Jordan. He didn't coach.
Before we sign off, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for the Super Bowl? On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm asking both of you.
Chef,
like a 6.
What?
Chef totally went over my question.
Yeah, I know. All right. I'll come back to it.
I don't necessarily care about either team. I mean, I think a 6 is good. It's above average. It's
What would have been higher for you? The Packers Bills?
That would have been
No,
it would have been a 6 as well. I don't know.
Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time. Okay,
yeah.
Is the greatest football player right now in Patrick Mahomes. You literally have Andy Reid experience. You have JPP.
I'm at a 10 for a
10. Let me explain something to you. I'm going to tell you how the Super Bowl is going to happen for me at my house. Let's say the Chiefs.
It'll be sleeping by 7 o'clock.
Probably that too. The Chiefs will probably get up early in this game. It'll be like 14-6, and I'll be like, "Come on, Patty!" And then he'll score again. It'll be 21-6, and I'll be like, "Come on, Tommy, bring him back, baby!" And Brady will cut, and they'll tie. It'll be one of those games where I'll be rooting for the team that doesn't have the ball on the last possession. That's what this game will be for me. I don't care who wins. I don't care who loses. I'll speculate on it from now until the next 2 weeks. When the game is over, I'll tell you why I think I was right no matter what happens. It ain't going to make a difference. But as far as do I care, what's my excitement level? It's going to be a great game. I mean, I'm sure I'll be very entertained. I just don't care enough You know what I mean? On the one hand, I'm like, oh, I'd love to see Brady win. Then one more championship on the way out. But then again, I like the GOAT and the kid. I've seen that. I think that's pretty brilliant. The literal handing of the torch over to the young guy. There's so many great stories. I think you sent us an article, Teddy, about all the great storylines. There's so many, but at the end of the day, this is a very red Super Bowl.
And you don't like the color red. And you don't like the color red. It's a big red wave coming to Tampa, baby. The red wave's coming to Tampa.
Red everywhere. There'll be a lot of red. It's gonna bug my eyes out. I'll enjoy every minute of it. And I mean, I think you do have the two best teams in football.
If you want to go to the Super Bowl,
that's what you want.
$10,000. So if you want to go, just let me know. We'll go down. Cheapest ticket I saw the other night was $10,000.
Joe, Uncle Jerry's right. This will probably be the hottest NFL ticket ever because of the few amount of fans. And you could say
22,000 fans.
Oh, yeah.
Ted, what was your question you wanted to ask me?
This might be the best quarterback matchup we've ever had in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What was your question, Ted, to me?
My question, it wasn't a question. I just said to Joe, I said, you guys are talking about Andy Reid. Like, Andy Reid don't look like he's retiring anytime soon, boys. Sorry.
He's only 62, by the way. He's not even like real person retirement age, let alone a coach.
And here's the thing.
A senior citizen? You consider that a senior citizen nowadays?
65. Actually, maybe over 60 senior citizen status these days. But we all think of 65 as the retirement age. Not that Americans can even really do that anymore. But you're right, Teddy. He's 62. He's got a .630 winning percentage. There's no reason for him to stop coaching unless his wife is like, Andy, you've been doing this every year since 1982. How many more championships do you need? Can we go on a cruise?
His son's on staff. All right. He's not going anywhere. He has a great time. And when you have the best player in the world, why would you leave? Why would you give up to continue your legacy?
I love that point. I love that point, D-Way.
Oh, I didn't mean Brady was going to hand it over as much as I meant Mahomes was going to put his foot on Brady's throat and yank it out of his hands.
So Brady won the first two matchups. Mahomes has won the last two matchups. So we got game 5.
Peace.
Passing the torch is what I meant.
Think about this. The last 4 matchups of these two guys have been all incredible matchups. Have been great. Yep. And what better? I mean, think about the NFL. We talked about this season since September or even before that. COVID year, you literally have Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes, Tampa Bay, the home team representing their home stadium. Chiefs going for back-to-back titles. Brady in his 10th Super Bowl. You couldn't have asked for any better storyline, even better than Green Bay, because it's Tom Brady and Tampa playing in their home stadium. Just everything. You literally have the greatest NFL player of all time in Tom Brady versus maybe eventually the greatest player of all time in Patrick Mahomes. Because right now he's the greatest player in the NFL. It's not even a close second. Don't tell me anyone else because Patrick Mahomes, what he can do as a quarterback, because you have the ball in your hand 75% of the time, you dictate the game.
Yep.
He is the LeBron James of the NFL. And I say that with such cred because wherever LeBron goes, he wins. It doesn't matter. He wins.
All in all,
he went to a bad Cleveland team and brought them to the finals. He went to a bad LA team and got them to a finals. He went to Miami and went to the finals. All he does is win. If you watched him last night, he had 46 points. He's incredible. He's still the best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
It's not even a close second. He's still the best player in the NBA. And Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL. And he's young. And this is, listen, if he's going to catch Brady, it starts in 2 weeks on Sunday.
I can't wait for it. I mean, go ahead.
He'll be 25 in 2 Super Bowls. He'll be in 3 conference championship games. He'll already have a Super Bowl. He'll have a regular season MVP. It's his status will be untouched.
Oh, I can't wait. This is a 10, plain and simple. As Billy Bob once said, this is a 10. This is a 10 for me in the Super Bowl. A 10. I give it a 10. Plain and simple. I cannot wait for this Super Bowl, but we're not going to talk about it until next week. There's millions and millions of storylines to talk about this game. You get the GOAT versus the future. You get Arians, Andy Reid. You get the two best maybe offenses in the game right now. I knew this would happen, Brady. I'm just upset the Bills didn't cover the spread.
Hey, well, Joe,
I'm just looking forward to it all around. I can't wait. They can't come
so here's
soon enough.
another tidbit about Mahomes. Trevor will know the actual the team he played, but do you realize Mahomes has never lost a game in the NFL by more than single digits? That's just, I mean, that's incredible. He hasn't won a game by
5 years. In college, he lost to Iowa State 66-10. So 5 years was the last time that happened. So just shows how great Patrick Mahomes has been since becoming the official quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, and how great that franchise has taken off since he's become the full-time guy. But like I said, it's going to be a hell of a Super Bowl. I can't wait. I can't wait for the halftime show. I love the weekend. It's going to be great. It's in Tampa. I'm right down the street from it. I'll be watching it. 22,000 lucky fans will get to see an historic Super Bowl. A historic Super Bowl. I can't wait, and I'm glad that they're giving all the healthcare workers and giving them chances to go out and be a part of there too. I'm glad they're doing stuff.
I hate
like
to
that.
say this. I saw a
Pepsi one more thing?
Yeah, I saw a Pepsi commercial over the weekend. I'm sure you've all seen it.
Oh, it's like a million times.
Where the dude and he pulls up and the guy and he looks.
They're all dancing.
I didn't know that was the weekend. I didn't
look like now.
I didn't know that. I thought the weekend was a white guy.
No, he's an African American.
Who am I thinking of? I could swear that everybody's like, oh, it's that weirdo.
You're thinking of the weekday.
I'm thinking of the what?
The weekday, not the weekend. The weekday.
Is that another person?
No, I'm just kidding around.
It could be.
Jack Harlow.
Yo, before you leave, is there one more thing you'd like to say or no?
Why isn't the Super Bowl halftime show like Leonard Skinnerd or like something cool? Why does it have to be? I don't know who the weekend is.
Because we're in 2021 and we got to make all the little babies happy. So.
Oh, Lord. The Rolling Stones are still alive. Don't you want to take advantage of Mick and Keith? They won't be around much longer.
I'm not even a big Rolling Stones fan, to be honest.
Who would you like to? Oh, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to ask. Your answer would be horrible. Teddy, who would play
Tom Petty. If Tom Petty was still alive, I would say Tom Petty. Or Michael Jackson.
I would love that. I appreciate that you knew he was dead, Trevor.
Of course I do. Or the Doors. I might be young, but I listen to a lot. Trust me. You know who my father is. We don't listen to the nonsense music nowadays.
Joe, halftime is to go outside to take a little break.
Go inside and go outside to enjoy the cold weather. I'm just gonna go outside and enjoy the 80 degrees and palm trees.
Greenhouse.
So yes, like I said, we'll talk about it next week. We will have our Super Bowl preview. Later on in the week, we're going to talk about all the quarterbacks, the open market for quarterbacks, and how, boy, oh boy, where are they going to be going? Stafford, Deshaun Watson, Mitchell Trubisky, just a few of the names, but I cannot wait. We'll get into all of it. Maybe we can start talking some baseball, because what the hell is going on with Trevor Bauer? Where are these big time? George Springer finally signed. What's going on with baseball? We're right around the corner from it. Might as well start talking about something. We'll have to figure it out, because guess what? Football's coming to a close, guys. So, we could talk about the Pro Bowl. And Evan Ingram in the Pro Bowl at the Madden. I don't even know how they're going to do that. It's a Madden. It's a virtual, like it's Madden. They're playing the Pro Bowl Madden.
I got a feeling Ingram's going to drop his controller late in the game.
All right, I'm done.
Like I said, today is a special day. So for your loved ones, go hug them. Tell them you love them. Tell them you're thankful for them. Plain and simple. Today for me, Ted, Joe, I love you guys. Thank you again. And enjoy and be safe up there. I heard there's some precipitation coming this way. What does that say? Brady leads Bucks. What's it actually say? No, I'm only seeing Brady. What's the things? See you in Tampa. Yeah. Well, we're gonna see you in Tampa Bay. Can't wait. Joe gives it a 6.
Where that guy goes, just good stuff happens.
Joe gives it a 6.
Him.
Joe just barely gives it a passing grade for a Super Bowl.
I think he'll be back next year again.
Joe would have been more excited if Coastal Carolina played Alabama in the national championship this year.
That's a solid 8 for me.
All right.
I'm out of here. No, but ladies and gentlemen, we are streaming on all social media platforms, including Twitch at Keys to the City. So comment, share, subscribe, like. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back later in the week. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. We are out.
Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.